Jimmy,
What's up, Chris?
happy Saturday, man.
Happy Saturday to you, man. It's almost Easter. How was your Good Friday?
You know, I'm going to get into this and we're going to get into the weeds. But
Yeah.
first, let me take a selfie. No, I'm just kidding.
Uh,
Hey, I want to welcome everybody to the Recovery Clinic. It's a place for you to not have to feel like you're on an island of one during this global pandemic. We want to build a network for you to stay connected during this time. We don't want you to feel disconnected. And so Jimmy and I have created the Recovery Clinic that's backed by the state of Arkansas. And so I always want to thank them for their support and remind you, if you haven't, and if you have, you can fast forward this part. But if you haven't and you're new here, there's an app called the Narcansaw app. It's a great resource for prevention, treatment, and recovery, all things related. And then also we want to invite you to the ArkansasDrugTakeback.org website for a full buffet of services for you to choose from.
yeah,
Jimmy,
definitely. What's
tell
up,
us what
man?
you're doing, Jim.
I am inviting people through social media to come jump on the screen with us. And so that's why I was sitting down looking at the phone. So big shout out to State Drug Director's Office, DHS,
For you to choose from.
DAABHS.
Yeah, Jimmy.
There's Chris trying to scroll through the phone. I can hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on
So,
mute.
man, we definitely want to thank you guys for tuning in. The reason we do this is we go live like clockwork every Monday or every Wednesday at 11 and every Saturday at 11 because we want you guys to trust us and we want you to know that Arkansas is here to support you. We are here to support you. We care. And this is where we talk about all things recovery. This is recovery related, and it's a tough time to sustain recovery right now. We see overdose numbers climbing, relapse rates climbing, and so we want to do our part to help. And so, Chris, what are we talking about today, man?
Yeah. Well, Chelsea, your wonderful wife says top of the morning, top of the
Yeah,
morning. So I think that we're going to go lighthearted today and just talk about fun, talk about some learning experiences from parenting, and we're going to rely on the audience here to help us out. Talk to us about how you're having fun in quarantine. Talk to us about some great vacations that you've been on to reminisce and to bring back those positive feelings. I was telling Jimmy before we jumped on here that, yesterday was Good Friday. It was about 5:30 in the evening. It was a beautiful evening. The sun was out. We're outside walking, my wife, my nephew, my daughter, and our dog, Callie. And we're walking, and my wife is noticing something that I'm just off. I'm not center. And she's just, asking me what's going on. And I didn't have a good answer. And over the course of this walk, I realized that, I've been laser focused on running this business and, keeping the staff and clients safe, following the guidelines to a T. I've been, focused on recovery advocacy to make sure that, people are getting the help they need and so they're not suffering. And then, being consumed with all things COVID-19 to learn how to keep my family safe. And here it was last night, 5:30, sun's out, and I'm trying to lighten up. And I think I've
right.
forgotten how to have fun.
Yeah, it's stressful.
And so that's what we want to talk about.
All right.
I'm doing much better today. Tell me what you've been doing, Jimmy.
What I've been doing, I've been,
How are you having fun?
uh, I don't know, man. I've been watching a lot of TV with my wife. And I've been working. Fortunately, I'm one of those people that I still get the chance to work from home. My
Mhm.
job doesn't stop because I'm focused. My job centers around recovery efforts for the state. So uh, it doesn't matter whether I'm at home or work, I can work remotely. So that occupies a lot of my time. We bought some board games, though, and turns out I suck at the game Clue. I won the first game, so my ego kicked in, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm the best in the house at Clue." When it comes to Clue, I run this. all this.
And you're getting ready to figure out you didn't have a clue.
Didn't have a clue. I immediately lost the next game and the next game after that. And so far, I don't think I've won a game since.
Hey, I don't recommend board games during quarantine. Look. So I read a funny meme that said, "I just completed Netflix." I mean, it's true. I mean, I've been watching a lot of series, movies, watching a lot of movies that I've seen already a whole bunch of times. And it's definitely one way to pass the time. And I try to disconnect through that. But I end up, I don't know if some other people can relate to this, but I'll spend about 30 to 45 minutes scrolling to find a movie I want to watch. And then I'll hit play and go grab my phone and be distracted the whole time anyway. So I'm trying not to do that too.
Yeah, for sure. My son's been on me about learning how to do this Xbox thing, right? Like he's pure gamer. Like he's got the man cave is set up. Xbox. Hey, cats, quit. The cats are having fun in quarantine. They're running all over my feet, man. And so he's got the headphones, the mic. He's got all these accessories. I mean, he's ready to whoop on me, you know. So I guess I'm going to learn how to be serious about this gaming stuff. You know, and anyway, yeah, man, I love it. Fun and recovery.
I wish we could connect our families to play Mario Kart through the Switch, but I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe someone's watching that's more tech savvy than I am to help me figure that out. But
right.
I think it'd be fun to whoop up on you with some Mario Kart racing.
Yeah, that's crazy because I never saw this coming. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I first realized, Chris, that recovery could be fun. Like for a long time, I didn't want to get clean because I thought life would suck without drugs, and so I thought I just couldn't even fathom the thought that I could live a life without using. And it didn't make sense. That was like some big fallacy mystery. And then I found recovery and I realized that there was this amazing side of the grass that I had never even played on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I saw all these recovery people going to the lake and camping out in 50 or 60 at a time. And they were going on canoe trips and all these things that I never got to experience because my life revolved around trying to manage my disease. And so in early recovery, my idea of fun.
You were probably really awkward at some of these camping events.
I was a mess, dude. I'm still a mess, but like I'll never forget. I remember being in my Kim Free house and there would be 7 of us. One of us had a car, and like 7 of us would pile up in that car, and we would leave the Kim Free house, and we would go to the apartment complex down the street, sneak in the pool. You know, we weren't really breaking the law. We were just having clean fun, and we didn't know that we weren't supposed to sneak in the pool. Like, who would have considered that against the law? But we were clean, and we were enjoying life, and now we're locked in a house, man. It's so crazy how just a week or two ago, life was so different, you know?
Yeah. Hey, Linda, how are you? It's good to see you. I'm waving. We have a visitor from Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can totally relate. I mean, I couldn't even have a conversation without bringing up some kind of usage history and war story. I mean, I can remember, sitting in the group after and before a 12-step meeting, and people are talking about their kids, they're talking about their jobs, they're talking about, going to this softball game or going to this movie. And I'm like, has anyone ever huffed paint? I just didn't know how to relate to the conversation.
Yeah. You want to talk about some sickness because that's all you know.
Yeah, that's all.
All right. They're looking at you like, what's wrong with this?
Yeah, man, I'm just sitting there quiet. And so when I would go to these, we'd go out after the meetings to restaurants, right? And we'd be sitting around, and I can remember, while it was so awkward for me and very new, I can remember I fit here. I belong here. I'm so grateful these people are, just as nutty as I am, but now we're sitting around this restaurant we're supposed to be in this restaurant,
Yeah.
and it's okay to be here together. We're not running from anything. We're just, fellowshipping.
Right.
And that I've heard read the literature that says, that it's kind of like this camaraderie is what you would feel after a shipwreck, where everybody has lived and they're gathering on this beach, and the camaraderie's there, that we had just escaped this death sentence, right?
Right.
And if you think about it like that, you're like, oh, of course I would be joyful and embracing these people that are around me.
Right.
Because we're a group that wouldn't mix in some cases. I mean, I wouldn't,
No, never. I say it all the time, Chris. Never in a million years would you and I have clicked. I would have took your lunch money, bro.
Yeah. So I showed Jimmy this picture of me and child, being for my childhood, and he's like, that was the first thing he said. Man, I would have took your lunch money. And I said, you wouldn't. That was so sweet. You wouldn't have taken my lunch money.
Big general.
Yeah.
I thought I was the toughest kid in the schoolyard,
Yeah.
until I got beat up a couple times playing tough. Man, that's crazy. Hey, did you?
No. But what I realized with you, Jimmy, is you're just an armor-plated marshmallow.
Yeah, because when I got recovery, all of a sudden I got feelings and emotions, and I learned all this new stuff that I didn't even know who I was.
Yeah.
I like teddy
bear. Armor-plated marshmallow. I love that.
So I'm hard and soft. I'm gooey on the inside.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I really like what you said a while ago, Chris, about all of us being from different walks of life and us never clicking, never getting along. We probably never would have vibed at all, right? All these different people. But at the same time, the first time I walked in a community of recovering people, I knew that I was in the right place for the first time, because when I found the rooms of recovery, I found them, Chris. I had been beat down emotionally, mentally, psychologically. I had experienced some abuse in all forms. And so I walk into a recovery atmosphere, and it was completely free of judgment. And it was the first time that I was like, you know what? I can't control this. I keep doing these embarrassing, shameful things to use. And it was like a confession, you know what I mean? And they clapped for me, and they got up and they hugged me, and they said, man, thank you so much for being here. Please come back. And I was
welcome home. Welcome home.
And I was like, oh my God, they loved me for being a piece of crap that I was. And they
felt like you weren't a piece of crap. You felt
I felt like that. And in my mind, that's all I knew. And so it was through that experience, that judgment-free atmosphere, that said, hey, you've got a right to live life. You've got a right to recover. And so,
that's what they told me too. It's like, hey, the war's over. You can stop fighting and welcome home. We're so glad you made it.
Yeah.
I mean, I right now am getting emotional thinking about that.
Hey,
I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about that. Hey, is there smoke? Is there smoke in the room? My eyes are misty.
Yeah, that's that inner marshmallow in you.
Smoky.
Hey, tell that story, the sesame seed story, the drug test story.
Well, I mean, so yes, I'm going to get there.
Do it now, right now.
I know it. Let me build it. I got to build it.
I got to build it.
So I had a mentor that always told me I had an odd way of having fun, right? Because the stories I would tell him, he would just sit back in this was a pharmacist. He was like really put together and polished. And here I am, this feral guy that's pretty wild. And I'd tell him these stories about having fun, because I was like, I don't know how to fit in. I'm always trying to impress or just try to be something different. I'm always staying in my head. And when I do that, I separate myself. And one of the stories I was telling him that I would do, because I had access over in Oregon, I had access to a costume department. And so you'd catch me dressed up as the Abominable Snowman, all of these different characters. Even my mom works in a hospital over in Oregon, and she still has colleagues that say, "Hey, remember when Spider-Man used to roam around the city?" And that was me, and that's how I would entertain myself. And I didn't need any friends with me to do that. I was just way out there, right? And
yeah, so you were Spider-Man.
I definitely dressed up as Spider-Man. And by the way, we have a PSA announcement that if Spider-Man can wear a mask, so should you. Out in public, if you've got to go out there, wear a mask.
Oh, that was slick.
Great way.
I love the way you just tied this Spider-Man story into public safety. Nice.
I didn't even realize that was happening.
Yes, you did. Stop manipulating. You did that.
You bridged it. So here I am trying to learn how to have fun. And I'm also dealing with this dilemma on the other side too, which is, when I went to treatment, I'm wondering, am I an alcoholic or am I an addict? Right. And they said, well, our alcohol program is 21 days and our addiction program is 28 days. And so I was like, oh, I'm an alcoholic for sure. It's 21-day program. I'm out of here. And while I was in there, another thing happened too. I was meeting with my counselor and they were going over this drug test that I had taken. And they said, do you want to try and explain the fact that there's heroin in your drug screen? And I said,
wait, what did he say?
Heroin or some kind of, like an opioid.
Yeah. Okay.
It said there's opioids in your drug screen. I said, well, I don't think so. Can that happen from, eating bagels with poppies on it, like little poppy seeds? And he said, yeah, if you ate a Costco size container worth. And I said, well, it has to be a broken test. And but he said it's possible that poppy seeds could alter a test. And he said, but how are you going to explain the MDMA, the cocaine, and the marijuana? And I said, oh, it was an everything bagel.
Yeah. I love that story. It was an everything bagel. That's good.
Everything bagel. But see, that's what I was. The point of that though is, I'm not labeling myself alcoholic, addict. I have an illness that, affects my mind and wants to separate me from you so it can get me alone, where in the end, I'm always going to look for a substance to change the way I feel.
Yeah. But before I say what I want to say hi to Jennifer Schuler. I just saw her tune in. Jen, we want you to know that we are praying for you as you are out there in the front lines of the medical field, leading the fight for the state of Arkansas. And Jennifer's in very high demand. She's part of the treatment team at DAABHS. She loves recovery, and the fact that you're out there putting your life on the line to try to combat COVID-19. I thought you needed a special shout out right there. We love you very much.
Absolutely. And Jen also donated to Natural State Recovery some masks that she had made from some friends that she was able to get to us. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. She loves recovery. She loves all people, but she definitely has a soft spot. I know that because I drive her crazy. I always need her to check my grammar, my punctuation marks on my papers and reports. So,
yeah.
Hey,
Chris, put Jacob Watson up there in the box. He's absolutely right.
Okay, let's see what Jacob says. Recovery doesn't rob you of having fun. You can party without drugs and alcohol. Fish, hunt, road. Oh, cat fight in my living room. Quarantine fun. Did you guys hear that?
They must have been playing Clue.
Hey, oh my God, Kelsey told you about the Clue fight. Hey, look, that was crazy. We've had those cats for years. They've never done that. Quarantine's getting to everybody.
It is, totally.
and here's
the human race, the kitties, no one's safe.
Hey, wow.
So Jacob's absolutely right. You take the drugs and alcohol out of the equation, and we do have to learn how to have fun. But Jacob, the only thing you're missing is, are you catching any Pokemon? I mean, there's a whole thing that you could be doing.
Bro, where do you keep getting these stuffed animals from?
Hey, I live right next to a playroom, okay? And
Are those Adeline's toys that you're
yes,
stealing?
we're having fun today. Adeline donated for the cause to show
Yeah.
people we can have fun.
Yeah.
But
So
definitely all Adeline.
I want to back up a little bit because you talked about, by not labeling yourself a specific type of addiction or a person dealing with alcoholism, but it always goes back to you trying to use a substance to change the way you feel. And so, would you agree that that's everybody in addiction? That's everybody that's has the disease, right? Like it always goes back to us. The initial use for me, my gateway drug, I say it all the time, was trauma. It wasn't a substance. It wasn't a drink. It was me not liking the things that happened to me and trying to change the way I was feeling through a chemical. And so when I initially used that for the first time, it didn't matter about all this broken hearted story I had. I didn't feel that way. And I fell in love and I continued to use. And I think that goes to no matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you did it just because your friends did it. Ultimately, you didn't like the way you felt if you didn't do it because you thought that what they would think would affect you. Or so if it was peer pressure, if it was depression, if it was combating physical abuse, physical pain, ultimately we always try to change the way we feel. And that can be mentally, emotionally, or physically, even spiritually.
Well, here's the thing. It's perfect you bring that up because I was told early on that, Chris, what you've been trying to do is fill a God-shaped hole with all of these things. And when I can remember that, because I mean, even today I've got, coming up on 13 years in long-term recovery, through eating, shopping, spending money, via impulse, right? I mean, I don't know about you all, but during quarantine, that cupboard is calling my name. And if there's any junk in the house, I'm eating it. I'm going to raid that cabinet. And,
Yeah, for sure.
and guess what? I'm not doing. I'm not raiding them vegetables. I'm raiding that sugar, fat, salt, all of that, and overindulging. And so I got to remain, to remember that, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to do here? And I'm trying to fill a God-shaped hole. And I got to, there's many other things that I can do that are healthy instead of going in the other direction. So,
yeah.
Hi, Emma. Good to see you too. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It always comes down to me trying to find a chemical solution to a spiritual problem.
Yeah.
Right. So why don't you talk to me about parenting, Chris? I'm trying to share this to my page.
Sure.
So that's why I'm looking at my phone. I don't want you guys to think you're not important.
Guys,
I'm just trying to carry the message.
The other day I was talking to Jimmy and he was Chelsea was on the phone too. I could hear her, and then their son came up and was asking a question, and I heard this point system that they have with him, and it really intrigued me, and I wanted to know more. So they told me about this point system they have, and it took me back as an early parent when I don't know about you, but having a kid, having anything that required that type of responsibility, I didn't think was in my future. And so when we were having Adeline in 2012, I remember just being terrified because, what they do at the hospital is just send you home with this newborn and say, good luck. But, I was always thinking too, is like, how is that even possible when they make you get a license to take a fish out of a pond, but they're going to, send me home with this living being? And how in the heck am I going to, raise this child up without, and so, my, about, I think Adeline was 4 or 5 months old. She was just starting to really move around on the carpet and, not crawling yet, but, getting more active. And so my sister calls me up one day, and she was just saying, checking in with me and how are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm just over here babysitting. Tara's out at the grocery store. And my sister just died laughing. She started just tears. And I said, what is going on with you? I didn't know I was a comedian, or didn't know I was, doing my stand-up routine with you. And she said, you said babysitter. You're not a babysitter. You're being a dad. That's what a dad is. You're not babysitting. You're being a parent. And she was right. But so, all of that was foreign to me. I can remember one time Adeline was learning how to roll over and everything. So I had her on this blanket in the living room, and I literally left the room to go check on the mac and cheese I had cooking in the kitchen for, I'm saying 10 seconds. Yeah. And I come back in, and she was wrapped up in that blanket, couldn't get out. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to kill this kid, and so I love being a daddy, y'all. I love being her rock so much. My daughter is such a big joy in my life. Yeah. And we do have so much fun together. She's of the age now where she's like a mirror. Like if she sees me doing something I tell her not to do, she's like, but you just did it. You just did it.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to lead by example and not by talk. I totally get it. It's hard for me because like the closest thing to, like, my father was there, but he was a person of addiction too, right? Like he only knew how to love me the best that he could. So that was the example that I had, and he was in and out. There was no stability there. And so sadly enough, the closest thing to a stable father figure I had was a correctional officer, and so, that was my idea of parenting. And so when you think of how a correctional officer, because I grew up in a system, and so they're always
militant. It's kind of like militant rules.
Yeah, yes, yeah. They're policing you. And so the biggest struggle of me learning to be a full-time dad was learning how to do it lovingly and not militant. You know what I mean? Not what's in your pocket, Carter. You know what I mean? Like he's not me. He's not,
shaking him down.
Yeah, he doesn't have a pocket knife hid behind his back, fixing to stab the kid next door.
Yeah, he's shaking you.
He's a good kid.
Hey, I would say though, in this environment that we live in today, it's okay to I see Adeline getting ready for school, and I'm like, getting down on one knee and embracing her, bringing her in, wrapping her up, and just, really looking into her eyes and loving her for this little soul that she is.
Yeah.
But make sure you frisk them. Make sure you frisk that little
while you hug them. Pat the pockets while you're
taking to school.
I love you.
Yeah, here's your bearded dragon. Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
Rice Krispies.
But another thing that parenting, and I have to be really careful, especially on what I post on the Jimmy McGill Live page, right? My personal advocacy page. Because I don't want other parents to treat my son different because I'm in recovery. And that's stigma. And I'm just be real with you. That's one of my wife's biggest fears, because Chris, we're always on the TV. We're always on social media. We're always in some kind of news story. We're always in some kind of article. And so what I say can affect my 9-year-old son. My little girl, not so much. She is probably tell you what you can kiss. You know what I mean?
That's what mine is. I mean, I like, the other day when the recovery clinic got some air on the news, I'm trying to show Adeline and Tara. I mean, look, God knows who I am. God definitely knows what I need on a molecular level. Right. And I'm so grateful that he gave me Adeline, because there's no ego in this girl. I mean, right. when I'm trying to be fed, when I'm trying to get my ego fed and trying to impress her, like, hey, your daddy is on the TV. She's like, nope.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah. Adeline's totally cool, man.
But totally, I agree to that. Like, and I would just, I would say it really doesn't matter whether or not you're in public. I think I love this quote that, Mother Teresa said, and she said, if you're really interested in changing the world, start in your own home.
Yeah.
I can remember someone sitting me down, Jimmy, when I was definitely getting off focus and losing some priorities, and focusing on the career, the education, and I had this idea that my family's going to be taken care of because I'm out here, hunting and gathering or whatever. I was telling myself at the time, and this guy that I totally trusted sat me down and said, "Chris, there is no success in life that outweighs the failure in the home." And that I got kicked in the chest, and it threw me down. There's no success in life that can outweigh the failure in the home. That's where I have to invest. I have to invest there, and I want to invest there, but sometimes I chase things that are shiny and get in trouble. But relationships is what counts. Those are the investments we make, and then everything else happens. I forgot. I'll be taken care of. Things will be okay. But I've got to make sure the balance is positive in the home.
Yeah. So what do you think about the stigma? Because what we can do, right? Like I know that, but and because things that we say, there are parents that may not want their kid to come to my house and play with Carter because his parents are in recovery from drug addiction. Like that's real. That's a real life scenario. Like it doesn't matter how much good we do in the community. It doesn't matter how many people we help find recovery, how many lives we impact for the better. There are still parents that will treat my son different because Chelsea and I are in long-term recovery. There are parents that will not allow their kids to come over there. Oh, that's the addicts.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough for me to even hear, not just because I know you personally and Chelsea personally, but just in general. If anybody came up to me and said they were dealing with that challenge, it's tough because it's not the child's fault that that judgment exists. And so my first reaction would be get new friends, but like I said, it's not the child's fault.
Right.
And what are you doing? What do you do to combat that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I try to be mindful of what I share. There are a lot of things, I'm pretty transparent. I'm an open book, as most people know. But there are things that I won't share publicly. There are things, I'm in the middle of writing my book. There are things that I'm not going to put in my book because I don't want it to come back and haunt my kids.
Yeah.
So that's really.
And talk to me about that balance because you want to be totally transparent and vulnerable with your readers because that's how they're going to connect to you. Right. But at the same time, you're being conscious of the fact that, you have a family that could be impacted by what's in that book and what comes back. I was talking to Brian Cuban yesterday, who's the brother of Mark Cuban, the guy on Shark Tank and the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, very famous. And Brian's a wonderful human being that's out there putting positive ripples. And he said that he shared, this is how society is sometimes. He said he shared a picture of him, his brothers, and his dad, who died last year, a couple years ago. And it was him saying that he just celebrated 13 years in recovery. And it showed his family, a picture of his family, just something so innocent. And he said, as it got, it like 500,000 people had viewed this post that he made on LinkedIn. And as he talked about it getting further and further away from him, the nastier and nastier it became.
Right.
About just totally stigma-filled response, like just a lot of hate. And actually, jump off today. I'd like to talk to you. He's interested in coming and doing a clinic too. Might be something that we're interested in. But exactly what you're talking about is, because he's an author. He wrote a couple of books. Where do you draw the line, Jimmy? Where what do you when you're talking about your book and that shielding and protecting your family from potentially what's in it? Do you also consider that you could even be positive with some of these things and still face some
Yeah.
some hate over it.
Yeah.
So where do you draw the line on how transparent to be?
So honestly, I usually share it with my wife, whose motives are completely different than mine. Her motive is to protect our family. She's kind of like a mama bear when it comes to her husband, our house, and our kids. And so, and of course, my agenda is to reach as many people as I can. So, like, here's the thing. I've, the state of Arkansas spent a lot of money training me, flying me around, letting me build my platform and get my recovery story out there. And so all of a sudden, say I die, then it doesn't matter how many thousands of places I've went and spoke. It doesn't matter how big the audiences were. Uh, where's the sustainability and the amazing transformational story of Jimmy McGill? So by leaving that book, God's word goes on. The message and what he did in my life continues to carry on. The accomplishments that of someone who had been in and out of incarceration 6 times gets carried on. And so my agenda is to reach as many people suffering and inspire hope to anybody I can. My wife's agenda is to make sure I do that while protecting my family. So we may fight about what she doesn't want me to put in the book, but ultimately, if she says it's going to be potentially hazardous to my kids or our home, probably won't go in the book.
How did you get so lucky?
Uh, so that's crazy.
Because and I'm saying that also reflecting on my own wife that you look at both of us and we come from pretty wild backgrounds. I mean, I'm telling you, another good opportunity for a PSA for those who are just joining us. If Spider-Man chooses to wear a mask in public, then so should you. COVID-19. Protect yourself and others. I used to run around the town dressed up as, people, characters, and, just scare people and just run around the town being crazy. And, we were both wild. How did we get so lucky to get two wives that can help us tame our wild backgrounds?
Bro, listen, I was a hot mess, man.
J-Bo, that
Yeah,
you?
when I was J-Bo before I was Jimmy, and
How did J-Bo have fun?
so J-Bo was a mess. J-Bo had 9 months in recovery and threw a concert fundraiser for a treatment center in Little Rock at Juanita's. Okay, so and at that time it was a real big deal because I was, a lot of people knew who I was because of the music I'd made with Haystack, Bubba Sparks, Little White, Big Smo, all these underground hip hop artists that were a part of my everyday life. So when I got clean, people were like, "Oh my God, it's Cracker Swagger, it's J-Bo, it's Jimbo." And so like I was like, "Well, man, you know what? We're fixing to rock the stage." So and of course, this is 5 years ago, so I still had hair and I was still kind of young, and so I had the entire recovery community in a club. It was crazy, and I tried to donate all the money that we raised to a treatment center, and so Chelsea actually came to that first concert. I did it twice, and the second time it was me and Jelly Roll, or the first time it was me and Jelly Roll, and the second time it was me and Karma, and so it was great. Shows were packed both times. And I remember telling Chelsea, "Hey, will you bring me a bottle of water to the stage?" And she was so independent. She said, "Excuse me? Get your own water." And I'm like, on stage with the mic, I'm like, "You're not going to bring me no water?" What? That was
Shut the concert down now. Everyone go.
Yes, bro. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So I really fell in love because I had never had anybody to challenge me and tell me the truth the way she did. I was so used to yes people uh, that would tell me whatever they thought I wanted to hear. That way, it would solidify their relationship with me.
Yeah.
And so that ego I had when I arrived did not help me in my recovery journey because I had a lot to learn that the world didn't revolve around me, but I actually had some proof that it did in a matter
Yeah.
of speaking. And so
Yeah.
There was a real big conflict. So that's where I learned I had two fighters inside me. I had Jabo and I had Jimmy. I had addiction and I had recovery. And what the one I let work out the most is the one that wins that daily fight. You know.
Yeah, so I mean, and I'm glad you said that, because just because we're in recovery doesn't mean life doesn't happen. I mean, there are times where I can't catch my breath and I'm like, can we just pause life for a second? Let me catch my breath. And obviously we know that doesn't happen. So even in relationships with, the person that, married me, Tara.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about this too the other day, that I think marriage is the process of falling in love more than once. It's and I faced that. I remember asking Tara point blank one day, I was getting ready to go to work, and I said, I know, Terry, that you love me. I know that. But are you in love with me? And she said no.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like another gut punch, and I had a choice. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, okay, so I can take my toys and go home and run from this like I used to do every other problem in my life. I was living in Oregon and jumped on a Greyhound one way to Miami, Florida. I mean, I run from my problems.
Well, hang on, Chris. How long had you and Tara been together when she told you that she wasn't in love with you?
About 4 years.
Oh yeah, you was messing up, bro.
Oh yeah, we were and we were together for 7 at the time. We dated for about 3 years before we got married. So, yeah. But see, wow. She is that type of person that
honesty.
Yeah, doesn't matter. And so, whatever I was expecting to hear, I definitely didn't hear. The reality of it was I had some work to do, and I had some, some definite choices to make on what I was doing with myself. And so, I fought hard. I fought hard to get back in a healthy relationship with her, and it took both sides of working on that. But that's why I love that quote, is because that is life sometimes. Sometimes, we're on seems like different planets, and
right.
The book, the Mars and Venus. I mean, they wrote that for a reason, and so. But I love recovery and the principles that I've been taught that can allow me to get back in, sort of unclog those arteries, those spiritual arteries, because that's what it was. Right. I wasn't focusing on the things that were important. And when I focus on the things that are important, it seems like all that negative and impossible challenge goes away, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, definitely. Man, that's a tough story, Chris.
Yeah, it was. But she's the light of my life, man. And she's all, I mean, you want to talk about someone that's just been in the trenches and the whole roller coaster and everything. And, it had a good while had passed. And I can remember we went on a hike up in Pinnacle, and we were on our way down, and I had an opportunity to really share with her, the woman that I'm in love with. And, one of the things, I won't get into the whole deal, but one of the things that I love about my wife is that if I'm ever wondering what the right thing to do is, she'll know it. Not the most popular thing, not the one that's going to get me the most likes on Twitter, not the one that's going to get me in some kind of selfish image. If I'm looking for the right thing to do, I can always go to her and she'll give it to me straight. And I love that about her. I love that about her.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because I'm sharing that because I used to be all into the material, all into the looks, right? Mm-hmm. And that's not what's gonna, make a relationship last for me. Right. It's gonna, it's the person and who we're evolving to become, because we're different people than when we first met.
Right. Absolutely. And so recovery is ever evolving, right? Like for me, every day that I stay active in recovery, it's new territory. I'm constantly blessed with new challenges and new adventures. And So every day that I sustain my recovery and sobriety is a little bit more of a new person that I become. And so who I am right now and what I think I know today, if it's God's will that I stay active in recovery 1 year from now, will be completely different. And that it would be foolish of me not to think that that wouldn't be the same in my relationships, in my work atmosphere, in my church, in my community, uh, all that stuff. So, um, Chris, I think now's probably a good time to tell people about the invitation. If you guys would like to be a guest on the Recovery Clinic, if you would like to come on
We'd
here
love
with
for you to join us.
Yes, if you want to come on here with the handsome Christopher Dickey and the bald, heavy Jimmy McGill, you like that? Those new titles right there.
Self-deprecating humor. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. The bald, heavy, baby.
The
So,
general. The
yeah,
general.
General Jimmy. So, if you guys would like to come on here and share your recovery, then what you need to do is send us an inbox to the Recovery Clinic. There's some things you need to include in that message. You need to say your name, your recovery date, what recovery looks like to you, what you do to maintain your recovery, and what it is you would like to share about on the Recovery Clinic. Now, Chris and I will vet those emails, and we may just bring you on stage and let you have the platform for 15 minutes to share who you used to be, who you are today, and how that changed, and
Yeah,
how
we
you
want to
maintain
dissect
that.
that story and figure out what makes you tick,
Yeah,
why you are the way you are.
like little twisted recovery clockmakers.
We're gonna
We want,
scare people. We're not
yeah,
gonna get any.
we want to see what makes you tick.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, Chris, do you have anything else today?
Hey, go. Yeah, I do actually. Do what you're
What?
gonna do. Stay connected. Reach out if you're feeling off center. If you know anybody that you think may be struggling, reach out to them. Call your mom. Call your dad. Say hi. Call friends. Check in with them. I do have something though. I've been blessed to have traveled to India a couple of times, northern India and West Bengal, and I watched a movie this morning with Tara. It's called Lion, Lion. It's a great story. Great story. This little kid gets separated from his family and lives on the streets of Calcutta, which is pretty brutal, and then is adopted by an Australian family. And the story is very, very powerful. So if you're looking for a tearjerker, there it is. It's a heartbreaking story, but could possibly end with some happy tears.
Oh, that would be awesome. Happy tears. We love happy tears. Yes. And so, as always, thank you to the state of Arkansas for giving us this page and platform. Thank you for Christopher Dickey, CEO of Natural State Recovery. If you want to follow our personal recovery, you can find us on Facebook at NS Recovery, or you can follow me at Jimmy McGill Live. There's a very handsome picture of me in a suit looking up. It was professionally taken. Haha. Listen, we love you guys. Send us a message on this page if you need help getting into treatment. And also, if you would like to come on and share your story, don't forget about the APART Coalition on the artakeback.org. You can go there and find all kinds of resources. Big shout out to Mid-South Euler for all the trainings with prevention they do. And Chris, I love you, my man, and I will see
I love you too. Hey, I do want to shout out to someone else that used to chase you around, but now has you right by his side in the trenches, fighting for recovery and the people. When Jimmy and I started the Recovery Clinic, it took a person to see the value in what we're doing and to kind of give us the lift that we were looking for. And that's State Drug Director Kirk Lane. What a great advocate for recovery. What a great person and model for bringing hope and changing the landscape of how we end stigma and shame surrounding the conversation of addiction than him. There's no better state drug director in the other 49 states or 50 states. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
We're lucky to have him in our state.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Kirk. All right, Chris, that's it. And if you'll stay with me, folks, we'll see you guys Wednesday at 11 o'clock right here on the channel, The Recovery Clinic.